This is a question from programming. We are asked to find which are the true statements. So, virtual functions do not implement polymorphism. Virtual functions do not permit calling of derived class functions using a base class pointer. We can never build an object from the class containing a pure virtual function. Pure virtual functions can never have a body. So first of all, let's understand what is a virtual function and a pure virtual function. So virtual function. A virtual function is a member in a function of a class that can be overridden in derived class. So a virtual function is a member function, member function of a class that can be overridden in derived class. This is the first basic concept. So when a base class pointer points to an object of a derived class and a virtual function is called through that pointer, the derived class implementation of the function is invoked rather than the base class implementation. This is known as runtime polymorphism. So it has a concept of runtime polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism. Virtual functions allow for the implementation of polymorphism, whereas different classes can provide different implementation of the same function. Now, what is a pure virtual function? Pure virtual function. Pure virtual function. A pure virtual function is a virtual function that is declared in base class but has no implementation provided. So it is a virtual function. Function declared in base class. Declared in base class. But no implementation is provided. But no implementation. Classes containing pure virtual functions are called abstract classes because they cannot be instantiated on their own. So in a C++, a pure virtual function is declared by assigning it a value 0. Like for example, we can say virtual return type function name equal to 0. This is how in C++ a pure virtual function is defined. So let's see how a virtual function can be declared. This is the basic syntax of a virtual function. In this example, the virtual function is declared as means this virtual function. This virtual function is declared as a virtual function in the base class. When virtual function is called through a base class pointer pointing to the derived object, the derived class implementation is invoked, demonstrating polymorphism. Polymorphism is demonstrated. Polymorphism. Now let's see a pure virtual function. In pure virtual function, as I said in C++, their basic declaration is based on this. So this is the basic concept regarding a virtual function and a pure virtual function. Now let's see the questions that are or the options that are given. Virtual functions do not implement polymorphism. Virtual functions indeed implement polymorphism. Polymorphism allows a base class pointer to invoke methods of derived class during runtime, thus facilitating dynamic binding. This statement is false. Virtual functions do not permit calling of a derived class using a base class pointer. Virtual functions do permit calling a derived class function using a base class pointer. This feature is one of the key aspects of polymorphism. So this statement is also false. Statement 3. We can never build an object from a class containing a pure virtual function. This statement is true. Why? Because a class with a pure virtual function is actually an abstract class. A class with pure virtual function, pure virtual function is abstract class. And we can't directly instantiate an abstract class. You can use them as a base class in inheritance structures. So this statement is true. And let's see what is the option 4. Pure virtual functions can never have a body. Pure virtual functions can have a body. So this statement is also false. In C++, we can provide a default implementation for a pure virtual function. This default implementation can be overridden by derived class if necessary, but it is not mandatory. So based on the options, we are asked to find out which is the true one. So option 3 is the right choice here.